Okay, welcome. This is for Art 30B, and we're going to start creating our seamless patterns. So I don't have patterns for you to show. I didn't create any patterns, but I'm going to use the symbols that we already have on Illustrator. For Art 30B students, I expect you guys to either have most of your patterns in there or just at least have a couple of squares or a couple of patterns. Okay, so let me go to Windows and let me find my symbols. Here you go. So this is just for me. I know it's we don't have to you don't have to follow along, but this is more about creating your patterns out of the shapes that you already created. But I'm going to use the ones that I decided to use from Illustrator. Okay, so symbols is really nice. You are allowed to create patterns using these. These are public domain, so everybody's allowed to use them for whatever reason. But again, it's better for you to actually create your own patterns. This is just for a lesson, okay? So how do you organize your patterns? Okay, so I'm going to use the blue one. I like this color. I'm going to use rose. I'm going to use sunflower. And this one's too similar. This is the hibiscus. I'm going to use, this one's the iris. This one's really nice. I'm going to keep it very simple. I think this one's too similar to the other one. This one's really good. So let's keep it 1, 2, 3, 6 patterns. Okay, so there's already a feature in Illustrator that helps you create patterns without doing too many things. The only issue you have to worry about is about the size and variety of your own patterns that you've created. Okay. So for your artboard, I expect you guys to go to Edit Artboards, make sure it's a square. So for me, it's going to be, let's see, Artboard Options. I'm going to go to Artboard Options, make sure they're 5 inches by 5. If you already selected a different measurement, you can always go to Edit, Preferences, and Units, and you can switch them around here. So you can go to pixels, inches, or millimeters, whatever you want. But I like to go to inches because it's easier for me to visualize how big it actually is. And if you, let's say, want to do all your patterns here, I recommend you just have one file for every pattern because it's going to interfere with some things. But honestly, if you want to just have different artboards in there, that's completely fine. It's just going to be a little confusing once you set up all your patterns. Okay, so I'm going to have to worry about color story or color schemes. So let's see. Let's make sure the complementary colors. So complementary colors are placed nicely. You can always arrange. You can rotate. You're allowed to rotate. This one will do better this way. This one will do better this way, I think. So yeah, just try to mess around how you're going to arrange them, how you're going to modify them. So this is a really good one here, and I'm going to duplicate this. You can duplicate your patterns. So, and then you can also change the size of your patterns. So I'm going to move this one here. You're allowed to have, so let's say you have 5 shapes that you've created for one pattern. You are allowed to duplicate them. So it makes it feel like it's fuller. You're allowed to also change the sizes. And you're allowed to flip them. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to flip them. Okay, so you're allowed to flip them, change the sizing, and then arrange them. So that's your job to arrange them. And I'm going to bring one here, and then I'm also going to bring the hibiscus somewhere else. So let's make it a little smaller. It's okay. we're just going to see how it looks. And I think I'm going to bring this one and I'm going to flip it around. There you go. These are going to repeat either way, but it's always good to have a nice variety of shapes and colors intermingle with each other. So you can see it's coming along way better. I'm going to have another sunflower or hibiscus. I'm going to add another flower. So let's go to symbols. And I think, which one would be really well? Let's go to flowers. I want a different color. I think this one will work really well. Let's try that. No, I think that's wrong. So let's find a different one. So I want to do this one. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, good. Because it's orange, you got to also worry about how the colors are going to interact with each other. If you have a simple color scheme, I think that's a lot better. And let's have a lily pad in there too. Why not? And make sure they don't overlap each other. So when you're arranging them, make sure they're not overlapping. You have enough space in between them. So have enough negative space. Okay. So hold on a second. Okay, so once you have organized things the way you want it to, let's go to, let's select them all before we start changing things around. Let's go to Objects, Pattern, and Make. It might take a while. Added to swatches. So, okay, so also the new pattern has been added to the swatch panel. Any changes made while in pattern editing mode will be applied to the swatch upon editing or upon exit. Okay, that's really good. So it's going to be right here. This is your new pattern. So anytime you every time you change it on here, it's going to change here too. So that's really, really nice. This feature has been there for a while. And honestly, it's going to be a lot different than how it is on Photoshop. You can do this on Photoshop also, but I think on Illustrator it gives you a lot of freedom. So, okay, let me just zoom out. Okay, so the cool thing about this is you're going to see how this is like a preview of how your pattern's going to look. Also, you get to lower the opacity. I honestly would keep it. Yeah, 70 was good. Let's do 60. 60 was a lot better because it really depends if it's too distracting for you. Okay, so what I'm going to see is there's a lot of yellow happening here. Sorry, my dog's been a little crazy. Okay, so I'm going to have to move this around. I'm going to switch it with this one. And automatically it changes. Okay, there you go. Okay, and I'm just gonna have to see, it looks a lot better already, or maybe I can switch it with this one because I don't want the patterns to, be in a row. So I don't want to have like a whole row of white here. So this looks way better already. And again, remember, do not overlap your patterns. And if this crashes your computer, just remember to save. That should save right now. Let me save. Desktop. Save. Okay, there you go. Press OK. All right. Okay, and if you manage to, once you save, you will get kicked out of the pattern preview. That's okay. You can always go to your swatches. So let's click out of this just in case. So I'm going to go to Windows, Swatches, and they're going to be right there. Double click, and it will automatically go back to how it was before. And if you want to experiment with like the type of grids, you can do like brick by brick, which I actually like this one a lot. Let's do hex. This is better for geometric shapes, but I think The brick by brick was pretty good. The grid is also very good. I think the grid is the easiest one. And then, yes, this is really good. All right, perfect. So now there's a lot of negative space happening right here. So what you can do is add another flower, or let's see, let's do another lily, a lily pad. Let's go over here. Okay. And you notice that whatever's going to be on this corner, it's also going to be on this corner. So you're going to see a lot of repeating patterns. And I'm going to move this one down a little bit more. Or I can make it go upside down just to make it fit. So flowers is a really difficult pattern to work with because you have to worry about all these lines. Okay, so now I have this weird chunk of space here. So it's going to be right here. So let's add another rose on the, let's hibiscus. Let's do hibiscus. Okay. Nah, that's not good. Let's try a rose. If not, we can always add another pattern or another shape. Let's do a smaller one. Yeah, you're going to have to worry about, yeah, I think this is fine actually. And then we're going to have some empty space right here. So let's add another one of these. No, that's not going to look good. Let me see. Let's add some more yellow. We need more pops of color anyways. No, that's not going to work. What you can always do is you can make a shape a lot bigger. That also helps a lot with your pattern making. There you go. Okay, so now that looks a lot better now. So it's all about organization. It's all about not having too many of the same things. If it happens with like the rose, for example, just make one smaller, make one bigger, rotate them, change the coloring. So it's a lot of editing that you have to worry about. Okay, that's much better. And then I'm going to double click or press on done and you should be good. Let's do it again. Let me pattern. Oh, I should show you again. Pattern and then click on done, or you can save a copy. So let's save a copy and let's just call final pattern. Or you can name it, let's see, flower pattern. Let's do that. And press OK. Okay, and there you go. So that's another swatch that we created. Again, I'm going to press on done. Much better. And there's your patterns that you created. Okay. Okay, so how do you apply your patterns and how do you get to use them? Really easy. Let's select a rectangle and let's just make a new artboard. Actually, let's just make a new one. And I'm going to go to artboard options and I'm going to go to custom. Let's make it a letter size or A4. So let's go letter actually. So 11 by 8.5. That's usually the standard what I require for projects. And I'm going to call it pattern use. And you could do the same thing. Okay, so pattern use. And let's change the orientation. Actually, let's just, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is deselect out of your artboard by selecting, you know, like the select tool or the rectangle tool. Make sure you create a rectangle. And I already have the swatch selected, which is really, really nice. Okay, so what you can do, if you have it like this, all you really have to do is go to fill and your swatch is already there. So remember, they're the same one. Okay, good. And deselect out of that. Make sure this is still selected. You get to do some really neat things with this. So if you want to change the size of your patterns, let's say I want to make it a little bigger, I want to make it a little smaller, compared to this one, you can always go to Object, Transform, and let's see, Scale. Oh yeah, Scale. Here it is. Okay, and let's have it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go 110, just very slightly bigger than the previous one. You can go to Preview. Make sure this is selected. Every time you change something here, you gotta go back down here to see the changes. Let's do 50, 150. That's gonna be really big. There you go. So you can do that. Make sure this is deselected, so get rid of that, because it's just gonna get a little bit more confusing. Okay, and then also make sure this is selected, so Transform Patterns. This is selected, and this is fine. So make sure this is selected, and that should be okay. Okay, there you go. No, this is deselected. So deselect from that one, it's fine. But if you want to see the rest of it, that's completely fine. That's your choice, but let's just get rid of it. Okay, and then I want to make it smaller. So let's say I want to just make it 70% smaller. Okay, press 70% and then preview. So look how, how smaller it is, and then press OK. And you're able to change the size of your pattern. Okay, cool. It's really, really nice. Okay, and I'm going to save. All right.